admit. How are you, man?
I'm all right, Gary. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Jeez, good to talk to you, man. I've been like
Good to
yeah,
talk
I've
to
been a
you.
fan a long time, dude, since the Dead movies, like
Uh,
So I'm
bless,
very, very happy to
bless you.
talk.
Funny enough, I'm seeing my brother. Seeing my brother today. We don't often get together since the traumas of the dead.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually seeing him 1 hour from now. So we're having a chat about stuff. You never know.
Oh my God, is that like an
But that
exclusive?
is I mean literally not for print that one.
Uh,
But
yeah,
anyway, you said you're a fan. That's very kind of you. We always appreciate that, and
yeah.
amazing support. So yeah, it's really good to talk to you.
Yeah, man. Right, so let's get stuck in. I've watched both your films, man. I really enjoyed both of them. Let's start with Escape, I guess. Yeah, where like I think to me, right, there's like a little bit of a exploitation sort of avenue there, and
Definitely.
also slightly reminded me of I'm not too sure how to pronounce her name, Coriali Fargit's was it Revenge? It was like a French movie.
Yeah, in fact, yes, I haven't seen that movie, but I have seen bits of it. So, in
Mhm.
fact, when I started to embark upon Escape, someone mentioned that movie. They said it's really good. And I looked at it a bit and I thought, oh, yeah, bloody hell! Is that the one where the woman falls on the thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, wow, that looks great. And at that point, I thought, well, that seems to be really popular online. I must be barking up the wrong tree. But I made sure I didn't watch the film because I always find if someone draws my attention to a film that sounds a bit similar to what I'm about to do, I absolutely can't watch it because
Mhm.
I think I might accidentally copy it. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
mean, but
Yeah.
there's definitely some exploitation. Those girls don't get treated very well, but hey, it's all about them getting back up and
Well, that's
our
it.
ladies taking revenge.
Yeah, and like, what was the shooting process like? If we was it in Fortaventura and Tenerife?
Yeah, and Canary Islands,
Yeah.
which is yeah, exactly. And to be honest, it was really really nice. I mean, it was because I've been in the desert before with the dead, and
Yeah,
we've
of
nearly like
course.
died several times over. So it was nice to go into the desert and not nearly die. That was actually fairly pleasant.
Mhm.
And the cast and crew we were working with were really 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 sweet, headed by Sarah Alexandra Marks, who's just like a magical actress to
Mhm.
work with, Sophie Rankin, Sean Crenny. The whole cast did a super job. And to be honest, it was a tight shoot.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't have, like you often don't with indie movies, you never have as many days as you would like because, of
Yeah.
course, the more days, the more it costs. So we were quite squeezed on time. And, a hell of a lot of that underground stuff. I think we shot about 90% of that in a day. It's just,
Wow.
it's
Wow. Wow.
totally crazy. I think we shot. That was the longest day I think I've ever shot. I mean, it was a long day, but I think we shot 19 pages in a day, and I've never. I don't even think I've ever shot half that amount. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, that has
just
to go. That's a credit to your team as well. Like there's like people getting up and being prepared, saying, "Right, we got to get this done," and seeing it actual through. Like, so that's probably a rarity, with
it's weird. You know
filmmaking.
what's great? It's because it was a small team. Because Escape is one of my indies, and it's my 10th feature film. So I thought
Mhm.
kind of reason I made it just to go out. I wanted to do something outlandish, something that was a blast, something that was a bit provocative. Maybe the type of film I wouldn't be allowed to make again if I'm even allowed to make it now. But
Yeah,
I've done it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that certain things you probably can't do, and these days. And so I thought, no, stuff it. I'm just gonna go do it. I know not, some people love it, some people hate it. It's one of those things. But no matter what you think of Escape, I wanted to sort of take you on like a holiday. I like filming in far flung destinations
Uh-huh.
anyway, and I love to do movies that take place in landscapes, and so you can go on a holiday. It's kind of like going on a holiday with a bit of
Mhm.
kidnap and revenge,
Yeah, yeah. And like I'd say that in comparison to like the Dead as well, and the conditions that you were shot in, was it a lot more civilized maybe?
Oh
In
my god, yeah,
yeah,
man. I
yeah,
mean, we had food that we could eat,
yeah,
and I'm not
yeah.
knocking just because Africa's a beautiful place, but with the dead, but we were just so ill all the time, and of course the lead actor, nearly died of cerebral malaria, and we all had food poisoning. We'd come down in the morning, and it would be like, okay, well, if the sound recordist is not vomiting or diarrheaing, we can do dialogue today. You know, that's how we
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like
yes.
up this morning. Who's ill? She's ill. He's ill. Oh, we can't do effects then. We can't do sound. Can't do this. Don't even have our main actor because he's nearly dying on
Oh,
a drip. Being told he might die within 2 to 3 days. You know, so the dead was a really, really extreme thing, which is why I ended up writing that book, which is out of print now, but Surviving the Dead, because I got back from that shoot and it was like, I just have to put down
yes,
in writing.
yes, yes.
It just
It's like
happened.
there's a movie in the movie making, pretty
You know
much.
what? There kind of is. I mean, but the thing was, we had at the time we were meant to be doing a lot of behind the scenes, but the funny thing was, and it's a bit gutting really, because we did so little behind the scenes because actually everyone was either too ill or we were held at gunpoint, or I was being, I got mugged at knife point. We often didn't make it to the location at all because the armed police would stop us with AK-47s. I mean, that thing was just nuts. And so no one was, everyone was like, why didn't you do this behind the scenes stuff? And we just, we couldn't, we didn't have the energy.
Yeah,
We should
yeah,
have.
yeah. And what about your leads now for Escape? Did you always have them in mind now when you were casting?
It's a great question. And I had some people in mind when I was casting. And to be honest, I met Sarah Alexandra Marks, who is ultimately the lead in the
Mhm.
film. I mean, Sophie Rankin I knew for a few years ago, and I knew she was great. And I was looking for the right role to work with her at some point. But Sarah Alexandra Marks, who I think is a really, really magical actor.
Mhm.
And there's something about her. Funnily enough, we did an audition process in Cannes, staying with Sean Cronin, who's our wonderful villain
Mhm.
lead.
In his
Um,
villa in Cannes?
Exactly, his villa in Cannes. So
Yeah.
we and I decided to do like an audition stroke, shoot a few shots from the film. So I invited a load of people over to the villa, and of course Sean's there. So we actually shot a couple of bits with Sean by the pool as well. And literally the screen test was filming some of the film. So if they were right for the part, then I would carry on with them. But I didn't really want to tell
Yeah.
everyone that because I thought if I
Mhm.
say maybe I'm going to get too many people showing up. So I asked a few. And funny enough, and Sarah, at the moment, it's fun, it's interesting because I enjoyed chatting with her. I'd heard of her. Someone had, Russell Shaw, who I worked with on a couple of movies, who's also in just a little bit in Escape. He was in Witch with her, and he recommended her.
Mhm.
And as soon as I put the camera on her, I saw something in her eyes straight away that there's something about Sarah that I just think she's so wonderful to work with, and you can see her emotions in her face. It's just somehow the heart's on her sleeve, and I think she's a magical person in real life as well as on screen. So and then we shot a whole bunch of people, and to be honest, they were all great. It was just that I was looking for certain things. You get a certain gut feeling
Mhm.
about casting, and Sophie we'd also went on a like location recce. So in the end, the people I thought would be right for the film, I said, look, I'm going on a location recce to Fuerteventura. Do you want to come out? Stay, I'll buy you accommodation. We'll sort that. You'll get paid a daily rate. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's a daily rate. I might, if we can get away with it, shoot a few shots, and they could be screen test shots. If we
Mhm.
don't use them, I'll give them to you for your showreel type thing. Or if we use them, they make it into the movie. So it was a weird way of doing it, and I could only do that because it was one of my indie projects. And so we kind of all went out there, a whole bunch of us, and co-producer Tamara and Louis James, who's absolutely fantastic as well, and he's also in he and Sarah in River of Blood, another movie coming
Oh,
up.
the cannibal one.
Yeah, the cannibal and kayak movie. So basically, we went on this location wreck and we shot a bunch of things, and I could see the characters straight away. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then they stuck, and so we're like, you know what? These shots are going to make it into the film. Or
Mhm.
occasionally we reshot something on the main shoot, but we had less to do. That was a nice idea. I'd like to do that
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Recce, bring some actors, and get some actual shots because I can see the location and take a few shots. So it
Yeah,
was
I
really
think
nice.
that's a really good idea. Do you think you would get you would only get to do that with indie projects, wouldn't you?
I think so. No, this is the
Yeah.
try. Yeah, and it's interesting because the projects that I are not my indies, as in not the ones that I personally go out, raise the money, and say, "Hey, I want to do this," and also I have much more flexibility with those
Mhm.
projects. They may not be necessarily as big or as slick, even
Mhm.
we try our best even on the low budgets. But the great thing is about them, there's complete flexibility. So
Mhm.
sometimes I'll find myself they'll kill off someone in a scene I didn't realize they were going to die in, or they live. And you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of happened without giving too much away. Louis James, who was really great to work with, and funny
Mhm.
enough, he came to the villa in Cannes, and I literally, I kid you not, I just needed a guy. I said, look, there's this guy, I haven't cast him yet, and he's like a charmer guy. And I thought, well, Louis is a good-looking dude. He seemed like a really nice guy. And I said, would you mind? I said, I'm not saying you're in the film, but I just need someone who could resemble this guy to like open and close a door when the girls come in. And he went,
Mhm.
yeah, sure. He was like really had a positive attitude. He wasn't like, hey man, I'm an actor. I'm not just gonna open and close the door. He was like, yeah, whatever you need, great. And I just looked at him and I thought, do you know what? You're absolutely right for that guy, because I'd already written this part of this sort of charmer guy who chats up the girls, and he's got gift of the gab, you know, all
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
You've seen guys like that out
yeah.
there.
Oh, of course, of course. Yeah, I know a few
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, yeah, well, exactly. We've all
Yeah,
bumped
we
into
all
those.
know
Yeah,
one, I guess. We all know one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
yeah, stealing your girls at the bar,
yeah,
bloody annoying. No,
yeah.
he's a really lovely man in real life. So in the end, you know, and I won't say too much, but his character, you know, something bad happened sooner
Mhm.
than it actually did, but he was just so good to work with. I was like, can't quite do it now.
Uh-huh.
And of course, they're in the new movie next, as is Ella Starbuck, who was in, and Tiffany Hannon Daniels, of course, who I worked with on the Lockdown Hauntings. And yeah, really great bunch of people. People I wanted to work with. That's the nice thing about the indies as well.
Mhm.
I don't have to go through someone else and say, hey, do you mind if I use this actor?
Mhm.
And sometimes they go,
Yeah.
oh no, we don't like them, they don't fit. The financier thinks we need someone like this or someone like that. And you go, okay, that's a shame. You know, I wanted to work with them. That happens a lot on the projects that are not mine. So it's nice to be able to just work with people that you
Mm.
want to work with.
Mm. And you're sort of creating your own little family as well,
Yeah,
for future
yeah.
projects and stuff. That's really, really good. And what
Exactly. And I
Sean like
feel
to
like
work
that's the
with?
way to go, isn't it? That's the way, it's like a
Yeah, man.
theatre. You play different roles each time, and it's like a movie version of a theatre group. So
Yeah, yeah.
really hope people enjoy Escape. Here's the thing, it's got Glenn Salvage, it's got the eye patch. I mean, look, it's not. I'm not. I know it's not completely realistic. I'm not making a documentary. It's
Yeah.
hopefully outrageous and all of
Mhm.
that. It deals with a subject which I think is important still.
Mhm.
The trafficking is out there, but I really wanted it to be this vehicle for these ladies to just absolutely kick back and take
Mhm.
down these heinous men.
Yes, yes, yes. Which is a rarity in cinema as well. You don't see that usually. Usually it's the other way around, So it is refreshing to see that sort of. There's
Thank you.
two little female heroes, which is
I
really,
think so.
really good to
Normally, it's
see.
often a guy that comes and often like the guy comes and rescue. I mean, I know not all movies are like that, but we've
Mhm.
had a lot of that. So I really hope, no matter what you think of Escape, that that
Yes.
it's hopefully at least a little different. Hey, we've gone to the desert. We all went for a night. There's no green screen here.
Mhm.
Everything is real. We went there. Quite an effort to get to some of these places, and hopefully it's a little bit different from the average. Fingers crossed.
Oh, fingers crossed. I really enjoyed it, man. And I think one thing as well I can say is your effects is fucking phenomenal. Your
Thank you.
special. And,
Chelsea
yeah,
did Chelsea Minor did the special effects, makeup effects. She's also worked on River of Blood, and yeah, she does it. She does a great job. So hey, there's female empowerment behind the
yes,
screen as
of
well.
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So no, really, really great. And I wanted to do as many practical effects as I could. Of course,
Hmm.
you sometimes enhance something with a bit of CG.
Hmm.
You can't shoot someone point blank in the head, for example.
Yes, yes, of course.
Certain things you perhaps have to do CG, but yeah, a lot of makeup effects, and also getting the realistic when they get scratched up and things like that. If you do
Hmm.
that badly in film, it really stands out. So it's nice that you
Hmm.
mentioned that. Thanks.
Hmm. No worries, man. Right, so we can talk about Darkgame now. Oh, well,
Yeah.
actually, I want to talk about a little bit about Sean and his character in that.
Yeah,
So,
Sean Cronin. I love Sean. Sean's the most heinous guy on screen. I do feel a bit. Here's the thing. I feel a bit sorry for Sean. He was coming in and go, right, I'm now this child murderer or something. You know what I mean? Same
yeah.
happened to Glenn Salvage. They're actually, lovely men in real life, and get to play these heinous villains. But Sean Cronin, he's another guy I wanted to work with for some years, and I kind of wrote the part really for him, and he plays Andras, who is the sort of the head of this, criminal gang who are kidnapping the women. He's kind of sitting there eating grapes while they're all miserable
Yeah,
downstairs.
yeah.
standing around for scraps. So I'm hoping he's got that wonderful face that's
Yeah,
perfect.
he's
You know,
got a
I'd
good
love to see
screen presence. I
a
would say,
rom.
like, you are a movie making machine, and so Sean as well. Like, both of you is like, and like, these are just getting shit done, which is amazing. Like, just
It's hard
pumping.
to get films done, you know. But
Yeah,
so
of
I
course,
respect
yeah,
Sean. Gets out and get it done. People, you can knock, and obviously many people who are not getting stuff done. Occasionally you get knocked. Occasionally you get a few knocks by people, and I don't know whether it's a jealousy thing or whatever, or people don't like to see why is all that happening there. But actually, all the people I know who are getting stuff done, they're working really hard.
of course.
Sean's up at night doing his deliverables. I'm doing the same weekends. Sometimes I'm up on a Sunday night, still at 11:30 at night, trying to finish an edit and get something in. It does take a hell of a lot of effort to do it.
Oh, of course, man. So, like, long may it continue. Like, so.
Like,
And it's so
as long as AI doesn't take over, we need everyone's support. Like your support
Of
means
course,
the
you've
world.
got it. You've got it. It's an honor to be honest, man. Like, to be able to help with promotion of indies. Like, I worked in film stores for 17 years, and I was always the person that would not be wrecked. I was a great salesman. I was the best in every. Not scared, not blowing my own trumpet, but I was great, and I was
Yeah.
always the person that would push the likes of The Dead or something, rather than fucking Marvel, which had the money to, like, that's where I realized the money that these guys have. If you're
Oh, they
filling,
spend like 80 million on marketing on
yeah,
a Marvel movie, and then the indie gets, you're lucky if you get 8 grand spent on the marketing.
yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
you don't stand a chance if your film is released next to a Marvel. And then, like, the managers and stuff would say, you have to promote that. And I'm like, I'm on the fucking bus in the morning. It's promoted in the morning. I'm off the bus. I'm seeing bus stops covered. It's on the shop windows. It's on the radios. It's like, no, I'd be down in the back with all, like, my world cinema, my horror, and it's that.
Fantastic. Was that an actual video store with, so
Yeah,
you're,
man. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so that's the thing. Kids, I say kids, you kids now, whatever, the youth now are not going to have that magic feeling of. I
Really.
remember going with my brother and our mate. We would ride on a bike up to the local video store in Brighton. Was it Brighton Video? And we'd go in and all these VHS, the Evil Dead would be there,
Mhm.
the Hills of Eyes and all these things. And occasionally you pick up something really, really awful that had a brilliant cover.
Oh, of
But,
course, yeah. Yeah,
you never
yeah,
know what you're going to get.
yeah,
And
yeah,
there was something magical looking on the back. Oh, there's some
yeah. Of
spooky
course.
face. That
Yeah.
stuff was
Mhm.
magical. Yeah,
But
so respect.
that's how Moviehooker came. Like, I had a supervisor that always said to me, "Go and hook me up with a film." So when it was HMV and the shutters, HMV Britain just basically cut us, like, and we were all shut down overnight. And yeah, so that was the end of it. So I started Moviehooker. I'm still going 12 years later, and now I'm
I love that.
getting.
Well done. Good for you. That's amazing.
So
Respect.
yeah, that's how passionate I am about promoting independent cinema and not
Well, we're
being.
grateful from our side. Without guys like you, honestly, where would we go? Because
Mhm.
you know, we need people to know the
Yeah,
films coming out.
yeah, of
Otherwise,
course.
if it doesn't sell, you can't. You don't get your investment back or whatever you spent. You can't keep making it. So then it's this is all the
Mhm.
pipeline of the process. So it's
Yeah.
greatly appreciated.
Oh, well, it's an honor. So, Rich, let's talk about Darkgame. My first thoughts is awesome as well. And it reminded me, I don't know if you've ever seen it. I should have checked the date. I'm not too sure. But it's a French movie called 13. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen that, but I think I have heard of that, and I think someone else did say
Ah,
that to
good.
me. So I will have to check that out. Is it literally 13, like the number 13?
Yeah, yeah. There's an American remake with the same director, but it was still good, but the original is way better, shot in black and white, and so it's sort of taking that premise of, where did you get the idea firstly for it?
Actually, I gotta say, on that one, the idea wasn't mine. So
Okay.
Tom George, who is the producer on that film, so I directed Darkgame, and it was a great pleasure to do so. Obviously, starring Ed Westwick, Stephen, and a great cast. And Tom George was the producer of that film. So when I came on board, and Tom was someone I'd met down in Cannes and Berlin, at sorts of networking events. It's like, we'll have a drink and say, "Hey, man, we must do a film together. When are we going to do a film together?" And we both go grab another drink,
Yeah,
and have those
yeah.
kind of nights. But then, many years later, Tom, in fact, funnily enough, it was when I was on the location recce for Escape. he sent me a message saying, "Are you available whatever date? You know, I'm doing this movie Darkgame." And so Tom had developed it with a couple of writers. So when I came on board, you know, we got to make some tweaks here and there, but essentially that was written already. So like you know, like also Tom Boyle's the writer of The Ledge and River of Blood. So I didn't write those films. I'd say 70% of the films I do, I've written or co-written. The Darkgame wasn't one, but I love the idea. And the funny thing was, when I got the script, so Tom sent me the script, and I read the first page. I was like page and a half in, and I was like, I'm not going to do this film. This is like I thought, okay, this is going down the torture porn road. There's a girl tied to a chair, and then she's going to get her head cut off with a chainsaw. People are betting online which method of death. And I was like, this is horrible. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be one of those films where they're just like chopping girls up. And I was like, how am I going to tell Tom, who I really like, that I don't want to do it? And then I started. Then I got a few pages further, and I was like, okay, this has got some intellect behind it, and maybe we can make a statement about where the internet is going, you know, the dark web and all these things that you know, you're only 2 or 3 clicks away from some rabbit hole of something horrible. And I wouldn't be surprised if the type of thing that goes on in Darkgame is already happening. And here's the other thing: I knew Ed Westwick was an actor I'd wanted to work with since I saw him in White Gold. I know he's you know, even more famous for his Chuck Bass character in Gossip Girl, and he's great. I remember I saw him in White Gold. I mean, I just somehow I was flicking over. I was flicking channels at the time to see what I wanted to watch, and boom, it landed on him. This is about, it must be a couple of years or so before we did Darkgame, and I just landed on this guy, and I thought I'd never seen him before. And I was like, who is that actor? And I said, that guy's gonna go somewhere. He's got such amazing energy. And I thought, wow, he's just so in the character. And I was so impressed at the time. I had no idea he was already in the America's biggest selling TV show. I didn't even know. I've watched Gossip Girl since, and he's great in that too. So I knew Ed was potentially going to do it. And so if it was Tom and it was Ed, and then so I was so pleased that the script got good. Do you know what I mean? And it had some really intellectual, you know, dialogue, and it had great characters. You know, Lola, who, you know, who's his partner his police partner in the movie, and you know, we've got some great characters like Andrew P. Stephen as the presenter, who was a real find. He was a guy I'd never heard of before. It's like he's a guy we want to keep secret because you know,
he is very good now in that, and he's got that right down, like being like a really good sort of like game host, but at the same time being extremely unhinged. You know, you can see the gradual, as the film does say, the gradual sort of rise in his like ego, and as more people start tuning into these deaths,
his followers go up and up, as they probably would, right?
Imagine,
Gary, you knew that at midday today, you know, we knew that there was a whatever at midday or 1 o'clock, there was going to be a live execution on the internet. I'd love to think most people wouldn't click on that link. People are going to be tied to chairs. Someone's going to die in this viewing. The horrible thing is that if that people knew that was out there, I reckon those followers would.
Of course, yeah.
You always want to, you know, I think they do that. Oh, I'll switch it off before the killing happens. You know, so his followers are getting bigger, and you know, like a sort of, you know, people on the internet who are doing whatever, you know, these people who have, you know, influencers who have huge followings and all that kind of thing. You see that confidence, you see their early videos, and you see the videos later when they know they've got like 10 million subscribers or whatever, and they can say anything with ease. They are much more relaxed about what they're doing. They're much more into it, and they're much more confident in themselves. So you see his character grow like that, which is kind of frightening, really. I hope.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, especially when it's pure evil that's growing, you know, and that is that's really, really good. That sort of, and what about the approach in the directing? How was that there for? Because it's very confined. Like that would be like a more confined shoot, and plus you're in a city.
I mean, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, because normally you're right, Gary. And actually, I normally like films that go on a bit of a journey, like, you know, obviously the Dead Africa or India, and, you know, obviously different movies, different places, and like Escape the Islands. but so I actually thought, yeah, this is interesting. I'd like to do something now, not every time, but that is much more contained. And
Uh-huh.
I thought, well, how am I going to make it still interesting? Drama around monitors. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not all that, but while the police are investigating this, heinous presenter doing these crimes, Ed's character and all the other characters investigating, of course, they can only watch it on monitors.
Mhm.
So you've really got to make the pace of that with the cuts is one thing, but also seeing it in the eyes. So, for example, I thought, well, I don't want to show heads being lopped off, or I don't necessarily want to show someone's guts coming out when they're forced to drink bleach and some of the grim things that do happen in
Mhm.
Darkgame. So I thought, well, what can I do is go into the eyes of the characters watching, so you can hear what's happening.
Yes.
And so I felt like, okay, I can do this in a bit more of a slightly noir way.
Mhm.
Comes back to his flat. It's all sort of dark. I think Louis, the DOP, did a tremendous
I
job.
guess.
It's very daring lighting. It's very
Mhm.
daring lighting.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been able to dare do it on Escape.
Yeah.
To have those little pools of light and things happening in the shadows and the darkness. I think he's done a beautiful job. Beautiful crew on that film. But yeah, I was interested to do it for that reason. The urban setting, something different for me.
And even what you were saying about like shying away, not shying away, because I have to say here that it still is quite graphic, and like and I'm all for the graphic stuff, and like, but the gore hound in me was satisfied,
Okay.
it was definitely, even though you didn't see, which I'd usually be going, no, didn't show the goods. But then the after shot of that said person falling to the ground, and you're seeing the carnage that took place. That I was like, okay, right, brilliant.
Yeah, there is there, and actually, that's that thing with the. I don't want to give away too much. Maybe I
Mhm.
shouldn't say too much. But the person who's forced to drink bleach, because of course some of it we're shooting on a lovely Alexa full size camera and all that business to get the movie looking very slick with lovely lenses. But some of it's done on. They're filming on camcorders, right? So the presenter's got these masked guys, as you see. They're filming on camcorders. The show, which is called Russian Roulette, and that was the original title of the movie. And we had to change that. Um, but some of it's on video, and I ended up filming some of those close-ups. And I remember that particular scene, and I was watching this thing through the camera, and I'm holding my phone, but I'm trying to avoid the main camera that Louis is shooting with, and I was thinking, this is bloody horrible. And I remember my son was flicking through my phone, as
Mhm.
kids pick up your phone, and he landed on it. What's that? And I said, oh, God, don't watch that. Some guy choking. Anyway, so yes, it has its grimness, but I hope in those scenes you can see that it goes to like Natalia,
Mhm.
who was one to work with, and some of the other characters. It goes to some of the other characters and seeing their reactions. They're trying to not
Yeah.
listen to the death happening
Yeah.
and things
I
like
think
that. So I hope,
it's a little bit more sort of effective that way, when you're like, that person's a goner, the person's going to scream, it's going to die, but the effect that it has on the person watching can be a more harrowing thing and stick with you more, which it does.
yeah, I think you remember the effect. I also remember many many years ago, weirdly talking about the internet and how dark it's got, even actually going back like 20 years, right?
Mhm.
I remember my friend, one of the friends I used to go to the video store with, actually, but I won't name names, nice guy, but he said, here, Howard, have a look at this one. Yeah, and he showed me, and I said, what's that? And he said, it's a guy getting his head cut off. And this was real, and like,
Mhm.
this was one of those real when they put those executions out.
Yeah.
And I went, what the fuck is that, man? And I was like,
Yeah.
why have you shown me that? And then I
Yeah.
read this guy's got kids at home. And
Yeah.
I was like, why did you just show me that man
Yeah.
having his head cut off with a saw? And I've been trying to get that image. I know I've made Darkgame now.
The exact same thing happened to me with my friend. The exact same, and it was probably the exact same video. Russian soldier gets Russian. That's what it was. But yeah, I'm all for the special effects, but any sort of realism, I'm like, no, thank you.
No.
So yeah, in a way, that's a good thing to touch on. In a way, Darkgame could be. It's like a modern day, the advancement of modern technology, the advancement of rotten.com. Do you remember like Rotten?
Okay, there we are. You've reminded me, Gary. I actually was doing an interview a couple of days ago, and one of the sites and I couldn't remember the name. I thought it was Rotten something.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the one. And someone else. It wasn't the one where the execution was, but it was another one. Someone said, "Oh, look, this guy's had a bike accident, and his entire face has
Mm-hmm.
been, somehow the entire face had come off." And we're like, "Well, I don't want to see that. I can't get that out of my head now. Why do you want to see that?"
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is kind of a bit concerning. Who is out there watching this stuff? And anyway, obviously a lot of people, right?
Yeah, but that is time, man. I just got the wee message there that we're running out of time in the old Zoom. So I just want to say that we are going to get Escape on September 30th. That is correct, yeah. And it's going to be pre-ordered. It can be pre-ordered, sorry, on Apple.
Now, Apple TV. It helps us a lot if you've got Apple TV and you can pre-order it. It means it gets better placement elsewhere, so that really helps us.
Okay, and Darkgame is going to be on October 21st. What platforms?
I believe it is October 21st. That's it. So I've never had two movies coming out within 4 weeks of each other.
Yeah,
so
that's an achievement.
Slow down. I need to have a rest.
Yeah, man, that's a big achievement. Well done, man.
It's been a real pleasure to talk to you, and I'm really
grateful
for your support and everyone who watches Escape and legitimately watches Escape and Darkgame.
Oh man, pleasure, and good luck with your brother. And
thank you, mate. I'll keep you posted on any news.
Cool. I'll follow you there on Insta anyway, man, and I'll let you know. I'll be publishing this. I think Greg wants the review published. I'll just have to double check, but I'll hook you up then with the review as soon as it's done.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Gary. I'm so terrible at Instagram. I've got to get better. Ed's got over 10 million followers, so I'm hoping he does a few posts.
Right. Brilliant. Wow. That's the guy. Just one post from that guy.
He can outdo it all, right?
Yeah, man. That's it. Okay, dude. Thank you so much, man. Take it easy, Howard.
Lovely to speak to you,
man. You too, man. Thank you, man. Later.
Cheers, mate. Bye.